you were in just a year or two ago?
That hasn't been a big thing for me. I think I tend to take a bit of time between things, and also I don't know, when like the first thing I did, what kind of popped off pretty hot, and then everyone's like sending me like this, psychotic,
right,
interesting characters, and I was like, well, I think I'll do a musical with Woody Allen, you know what I mean, and wear a plaid jacket and do a dance number in Harry Winston's, like
switch it up.
Yeah, and then what's really weird is I did that first. I played this lawyer. I played a young lawyer in the Larry Flint film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which and off of that, I get this distinct vibe of like, hey, the next John Grisham movie is like the way you were talking in court in that movie, you would kill in this John Grisham thing as the young lawyer or whatever. And I remember I met Francis Coppola was going to direct The Rainmaker, this Grisham thing, and I was up for it. I didn't get it. Matt Damon got it, and I didn't do some ballsy thing and like say that's not for me. I was like Francis Coppola. I was like, I want this, thing. But when I was talking to him about it, and thinking to myself a little bit like, this seems a little square, but it's like Francis Coppola, you know what I mean? And it's like, and he, when I was talking to him about it, he was like, well, what are you what are you working on? What are you interested in? And I was telling him about my friend David, who had written this American History X, and that we were working on it. I was kind of telling him what we were trying to do with it and how we wanted to make it as this kind of like guerrilla, thing. And he was like, you should do that. You should do that immediately. And I was like, well, I was like, I was like, don't cancel, don't, I still want to do this with you. He's like, no, I think you should do like the way you're talking about that. And he said, if you do that now, they'll never know what to do with you. Like they'll never be able to put you in a box.
Right.
Kind of, because that's just, if you pull that off. And I kind of was like, I did have an agent at the time. He was really old school, really funny, and he was kind of like, he didn't understand now. He was like, find something big. Let's find something big. Big director, big film, big franchise, whatever. And I remember thinking like, nah, I think I'm gonna do this. And we knocked that off. And the funny thing is, you say, well, does that become a trap? That wasn't a trap. That was like a liberation. It's almost like doing that part. It was like a permanent hand grenade on. It was like, well, we never know what to expect now, right? So it becomes like liberation at a certain point. Like I weigh 150, like I'm not big, so like once you do something like that, it's sort of like, this guy's this guy's kinky. What the hell are we gonna do with him? You know what I mean?
This guy's
and then
kinky.
It's just sort of like you get to decide for yourself in a way.
That's brilliant. Yeah, like Robert Downey Jr., as amazing as he is always going to be Iron Man. Like that, sometimes you get one of those roles, like Thor, Chris Hemsworth. He's fucking Thor, dude. You're Thor forever. You flirted with that.
It depends on, and I think it depends on how many of them you do.
But when you did the Hulk, were you worried about that?
A little bit.
Was there any hesitation? Because I was surprised when you did that.
I got,
like, this is an interesting choice.
As is evident, I got more worried about it. I was very interested because I loved it. I'm not like snobby about it. I loved those like comics, and I subscribed to them.
Yeah.
I subscribed to Hulk. All the darker stuff, like Dark Knight, Frank Miller, the whole. All of it was really, it was something I really latched onto, and I love the Bill Bixby Hulk. Yep, like he's it for me. He's always for anyone our age. Like he's him walking away at the end of the show.
Yeah,
that's it. And I thought I tend to get just the way I felt about American History X. I actually thought American History X was sort of like Othello or Macbeth. I thought it was. That's what I said to David. He had written this kind of edgy thing with the drug plot in it. And I was like, I think you strip all that away and you literally just make this about rage, destroying a person who's got a lot in him. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy, but it's skinheads, you know. And that really lit David up, and that's where we went with that, right? But Hulk is like it's Prometheus, right? The guy who steals fire from the gods for people, but he gets burned doing it, and is cursed, right? He's trying to take like the power of nature back out to people from the gods, and he gets burned. And that's how I thought about it. I was like, if we could do something like that leans into this guy who thinks he's going for something good that's going to help humanity, and he cracks open like the backside of God and takes something out that is not meant to be taken out, and now he's cursed, you know. That's what was amazing. Even as silly as the show was on some levels, Bill Bixby was cursed. Like that's what, and the end of every show you were like, oh my God, he's still cursed, like alone in the world and cursed, right? And there's something pretty heavy in that, like pretty cool in that, and so it wasn't
cool in that.
You know, I thought it was like really worth a crack.
I fucking loved it. How did that scene come to play where you were with Hicks and Gracie?
Oh, cause I studied Aikido when I was in college. I was studying Aikido, and then when I was studying Aikido, Hoist Gracie won the. You know, that was when
Fighting Championship.
That was like the late '80s, right?
1993.
93. Okay.
Close.
Yeah.
5
So
years later.
right. So, but I became aware. Oh no, that's it. You're right. Because I was in New York. I was studying Aikido in New York, and Hoist Gracie won that first UFC. And like I said, I'm 6 feet tall, but I literally, if I'm in shape, I weigh like 155, right? And Hoist, when he won that, was
176,
like 6 feet and under 180, right?
Yep.
And I remember it melted everybody's mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it melted everybody's mind, and so I became interested in them and what they were doing. Honestly, do you know that you know, in the story, in that family's whole crazy story about being you know, they were Scottish. The grandfather was Scottish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a consular. He was a customs official in Brazil. And because he had a good relationship with the Japanese consul, and was very generous in helping Japanese people get their papers to come through and in, the Japanese consul, I think the story is, who knew Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu, offered to like teach his sons.
Yeah, it was Count Maeda.
Right.
Yeah, came to Brazil and taught Carlos and Horion and Ilio. Well, mostly Ilio.
Who are the fathers of the Hoist Sixth generation,
and
right?
Then Ilio's oldest son, I think Horion was the oldest son. He's the one who created the Ultimate Fighting Championship. But Hickson, the reason why it was so significant that you had him is that was the champion of the family. Like, undeniably, undisputed, everyone throughout jiu-jitsu. It's very, very rare that one figure is universally recognized as being the superior product of jiu-jitsu, and that was Hickson.
Yeah, you always, if you followed that stuff at all, you kind of heard that breakdown of it, and I thought a part of the story, I think Hickson told me when we were in Rio, I think what he said to me was that the reason Gracie Jiu-Jitsu became its particular derivation and its particular kind of thing that allowed Hoist to do so well was because their father was smaller than his brothers.
That's Ilio.
Right. Yeah. And they were all bigger, and because he was smaller, he adapted.
Yes.
You know, he adapted the style to work for a smaller person against a bigger person.
Yes.
Obviously, and then that kind of like reached its pinnacle with Hoist winning that.
Yes.
That tournament, which this gets down in the weeds for people who aren't into this stuff, but it was, I mean, that you talk about these things, the cracking through moment, right?
Yes.
That was a cracking through moment. It was like, wait a minute, a guy his size just literally won an all size tournament. Like, how is that possible? You know what I mean? And it was like jaw hits floor. And to me, what was really interesting was I was really little all the way until literally the end of high school. I was very small. I grew a lot in my, like, when I was like 17. But I was really interested in Japan, and I was interested in martial arts, and, you know, James Clavell's Shogun, like, not, you know, and I took like a karate class, and it scared me. It was people, if they were bigger and faster, it was just scary. If you were little, it was like, it doesn't matter if I can do these combos or whatever. In truth, I'm terrified of anybody bigger than me, and I don't feel that this is teaching me anything that I would have the confidence to use to defend myself, right? That's how I felt as a kid. And when I bumped into Aikido, it completely changed my mind. There was an incredible teacher in New Haven when I was in college, and he was small. He was like, you know, maybe smaller than Hoist Gracie or whatever, and the guy was unbelievably, like, potent, like, just one of the most potent teachers in anything I ever had. I was riveted by this guy, and it kind of started to make me believe that with grappling and locking, which there's a lot of jiu-jitsu in Aikido, and I was sort of like, I was fascinated. I started feeling like this makes me feel like it's not like kicking someone's ass at all. It's just more like I feel more empowered. I feel able to handle an authentic situation, which is mentally empowering more than like I want to get into scraps.
Right.
And it was just kind of amazing. It's like having a secret in a way. Like, whoa, there's a secret to a much smaller person being able to lever a much bigger person. And then that thing happened with the Gracies, and it was sort of like the whole thing cracked open. It was like proof.
Yes.
In a way, you know. And if you were interested in that stuff, it was an incredible moment. But because of my interest in that for years, when we went to Rio, and I had been working on the script of that movie and stuff, and I was really interested in this idea that Banner is desperate for control, right? That he desperately needs to control his heart rate, his breathing, that it's a massive liability in his mind if he can't control his emotions and his adrenaline. And I was like, well, who in the world... And I'd seen the videos of Hicks. I'd never met him or any of them, but I'd seen the videos of him doing the amazing stuff with his stomach.
Yeah, the yoga.
And the breathing.
Fire breathing.
And I was like, I just was like, we have to. And everyone was like, who's that? I was like, Philistines. You're all Philistines. Like, I was like,
Tom Connors here. How can I help you, sir?
And ask him if he'll do a scene with me in the movie, being the guy who's training Banner to like calm himself, and he was there.
Excellent choice.
He did it with us, and it was like, I was like.
Yeah, there it is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw this in the movie, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, what a smart move.
Yeah. And I was like... I was like, yeah, see? I forgot this. Holy crap. Look how charismatic he is, too. I mean, the guy could have been, like, Charles Bronson.
100%.
A movie star.
Did you ever see Choke, the documentary?
Yeah.
One of the greatest documentaries in history. And
like Pumping
Iron.
Yeah,
absolutely for martial arts. And it details Hickson's journeys to Japan, to fight in Japan Valley Tudo, which was around 94, which is right after his brother had won the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And the story was that if his brother lost, Hickson was going in. Like, the idea was, well, we'll bring in Hoist because it's more impressive. He's a smaller man. He's not physically imposing. Whereas Hickson in that video there, he was older. When he was young, he was, you know, very fit and was big into yoga and physical fitness, and he had the strongest body of all the Gracies, and he looked very formidable.
Right.
Whereas Hoist looked unassuming, and it was more of an advertisement of jiu-jitsu. Hoist could beat everybody, and Hoist wound up doing it. But if, at any reason, if they needed to bring in the big guy, it was going to be Hickson. And Hoist always talked about it, like Hickson could tap him left and right, and everybody was like, that doesn't even make sense. Hoist is the Ultimate Fighting Champion.
Yeah.
He's the guy. but his brother would just run right through him. He would run right through everybody.
That's how it is. Your older brother will always get you.
They would all wait for their turn to be tapped. They would roll with hits, and he would just dismantle everybody. People that thought they understood jiu-jitsu. It's so there's so many levels and layers.
You know how to fight.
Even though it looks like, what is the difference?
You
This
both
guy's
know how to
doing
fight.
armbar,
Your
you're
older
doing
brother's getting
the
you.
specifics and the intricate aspects of the positions that Hickson understood that they just didn't understand. And then on top of that, he had much greater control of his body because of his yoga background. I mean, he became obsessed with yoga.
And breathing.
Yeah, some breathing and something called gymnastica natural, which was like a style of movement that was like sort of like vinyasa yoga with all these like flowing postures, but also with a bunch of like almost like animal movements to it too. And it was a very physically demanding thing, and he became outstanding at that as well. Right?
Sorry.
But it's people don't from the outside when you start talking about things like jiu-jitsu and ultimate fighting, you think of like as brutal, violent, but it's an intellectual pursuit and it's a spiritual pursuit because to be the person that can overcome all of the obstacles, you have to have incredible control of your emotions and your thought processes and your understanding of who you are.
Look at this beauty.
That,
I won
I
this.
think is one of the things that separated Hickson from everybody.
I do too. I also think that I think that
I don't like the eyes though.
that,
Too reptilian.
A lot of
I don't like
a
the
lot
skull
of
either.
stress, a lot of
The rest
aggression.
of it's good. Even though it's a skeleton
It's
blade.
like aggression actually is like paired with stress usually. You know what I mean? You it's hard to be super aggressive without a little bit of like adrenaline pumping and stress and all these things. And the truth is like there's so much of the training. If you're actually training stuff, what you're training yourself to do is be calm. And that's like totally counterintuitive because people think, no, you got to go in there like Rocky and want to win, and it's like, well, in a fighting in a competition, sure, on some level, but really, really, really great people, kind of in any sport, but it's even more counterintuitive in fighting is you need to cultivate calm.
Yes.
And the ability to be clinical and think calmly, control your breathing, because like you get exhausted if you can't control your breathing, and the truth is that those are life skills that are actually very they cultivate a very calm. It helps you cultivate calm in life. And the thing I always really liked about Aikido is that there aren't attacks in it. It was developed by a guy, Morihei Shiba, who was an all-round Bujutsu master. He was like
Bujutsu,
Kendo, karate, all these things, and he developed Aikido because he had joined the global pacifist movement. He was like one of the most respected like cross-form Japanese martial artists, and he joined the same movement for pacifism that Gandhi was a part of in like the 20s, and he believed that martial arts could contribute to pacifism if they refined, and Aikido was a refinement of Kendo, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and he basically said, I'm going to develop a non-aggressive martial art that has no attacks, and there's an uke in it, for the thing, but it's only a defensive, and it's like that phrase we all hear, redirection of energy, the conversion of negative energy into neutral. That's like that is really his contribution. He was like, you can take the most aggressive energy and you can neutralize it, and you can neutralize it very peacefully, or you can neutralize it with a little more teeth in it, depending on how aggressive the person's being. But I loved that. I thought that was amazing because it was like, I wasn't like looking to be in fight, but I loved the idea that you could have control and you could like neutralize it. And I think there's something kind of amazing in that. I think it's like actually aligns with like yoga, with meditation, with all things, surfing. I mean, that's what surfing is. It's like there's all this energy coming at you, like, and it's gonna like put you into the rocks or rock you or flip you over or hurt you, but you don't let that happen. You look at it, you look at a million waves, you figure out how to move yourself, you get in there, and you get the exact opposite of getting torched. You get like the best thing ever, right? And I think things like that are where you have to. Those are like Zen. You know what I mean? And I think like jujitsu, what you're saying is really ultimately like why he was great is he had like the deepest Zen of anybody in the whole thing because he was the calmest, and he had like the micro understanding of forms, but really like it's something deeper. It's like it's like Neo in the Matrix. He's like seeing it with more granularity.
Yeah, he had everything. He had the full package of it. Did you ever see any of Steven Seagal when he was very young?
Mm-hmm.
When he was teaching in Japan?
I was totally fast. I mean, it's like, and it's really...
It's weird,
like,
right?
Like me, right? Like, like serious actor, thoughtful actor. I'm like, what did you know... But I, like, Above the Law.
Yeah.
Because I was into all that stuff when Above the Law came out. And there was the scene in Above the Law, and he's in an Aikido, you know, gi with the black thing, and he's doing this thing, and I was like, oh my god, like this is so cool. Like, when have you ever seen this in a movie?
Yeah.
And he was a big guy.
And he made it violent.
Yeah,
it was very unusual sort of contribution to martial arts because in martial arts movies.
Yeah.
He made it realistic.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of the most realistic martial arts movies ever.
Yeah, it was, and you know, when you look back on it there's things about it that don't date super well.
Of course, but he was undeniably
literally what you just
skillful.
showed, the thing of the guy coming, it's that simple thing, that thrust and the break and the thing. It's
yes.
He also in the film, when the guys come at him, shows you how it burns your brain. There's a scene where there's in a bodega, and the guy, I think he smashes a bottle, and he comes at him and he does like a move. In Aikido, it's called like kotekaishi. It's like it's like the wrist, you know, it's like the wrist break, flip over, and it was just like, oh my god, like he's doing like, you know, nuanced Aikido moves in a big action movie. It was kind of cool.
Well, he was one of the first, I think the first Westerner to run a dojo in Japan. I mean, he was a legitimate Aikido master.
Yeah, and I think, but what's interesting is when I studied over there, it was slightly controversial because I don't think he had broken away from like Yushiba Aikido. He was doing like the way that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is not pure Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. He was doing something with this. It was associated more with Osaka than Tokyo, where the Hombu Dojo and Aikido is. And there was
some controversy.
Yeah, there was just, you know, like the way things are with schools of thought. But yeah, he had a certain legit kind of thing, and it's really wild because people like Mike Ovitz, who was like the power agent of all of Hollywood in the 80s, you know, Mike got a black belt training with Seagal. Like, he was really serious Aikidoist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But he's a cautionary tale too, though. I mean, not even Ovitz. I mean, Seagal. You know, what he become.
Honestly, I don't know anything about him past a certain point. Like, I don't know what went on there.
Yeah.
But
you can leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't.
Tell me about your new movie. Let's leave it at that.
It's called Motherless Brooklyn. It was kind of a big swing because I wrote it and
Because I wrote it.
Is this the first time you've done that?
Directed it.
Directed it. That's sick.
No, I produced and directed the first movie I directed is Keeping the Faith. It's me and Ben Stiller play a rabbi and a priest who are best friends, and they both fall for the same girl. Have you ever seen how?
No, oh shit!
It's funny, yeah, you'd like it. Ben is hilarious in it. That was obviously lighter. That was a lighter kind of movie, but it was in. I've lived in New York there almost 30 years, and I like making movies in New York a lot. That was a pretty light one. This one is more. This takes place in the 50s in New York, and it's kind of. It's got a Chinatown, LA Confidential kind of a noir bent to it. It's a mystery, a murder mystery of kind of that leads into some of the stuff that happened in New York.
Come on!
It is hard to believe.
Not doing this. Go to bed.
New York was run by.
Good night.
And it was run by basically a Darth Vader-like figure, never elected to public office, and people thought he was the Parks Commissioner of New York, but he was from 1930 to 1968. He had uncontested authoritarian power over New York City and New York State, and he made every significant decision about the way that the modern infrastructure of New York was built, where the roads went, where the bridges were built, what was torn down, where the projects were built. And he was very racist, and he baked like really discriminatory things that almost sound like conspiracy theory. They're so wild and intense into the decisions he made. He was responsible for the Dodgers leaving Brooklyn and going to LA, and nobody knows this. Like you think of New York as that's like the great egalitarian melting pot city where democracy works, except that it was run by a total autocrat.
For 38 years?
Yeah, it's broadly accepted that no mayor or governor of New York could do a single thing without his say-so from basically about 1930 to about 1968.
How is that even possible?
Yeah.
And how come no one knows about this? How did you find out?
People do. There's huge, like in one of the big Burns Brothers documentaries about New York, there's literally almost a whole episode on him. There's a great book about him that won the Pulitzer Prize, and there's Robert Moses, and there's Robert Moses State Beach in New York, but literally people think he was the Parks Commissioner, but he was like Anakin Skywalker. He was like a Jedi Knight. He was a big liberal, progressive believer in progressive change.
What are we doing then? What's it going to be? I think I just got a heart on. Nice.
Sarge, lay down.
Oh yeah, sexy shit.
The Wiener Club, that's funny. Grab our giant wiener. Look at my Wiener Club fucking car. Look at my giant wiener. That's great. The real cunts. douche. Let it pour. Oh my god, pole position, that is fucking weird.
That looks badass.
I just had those two words in my head from that movie, pole position, pole position, pole position. I thought about it 1,000 times, and now they just put a fucking livery on this brand new car. Pole position. Weird as fuck. That's an omen right there.
Looking good. I think I just got a heart on. Nice. She ran good now.
And here it is. Funny. Whoa! Whoa! That was scary. Make sure I'm living it better. Yes, I honestly will. Oh. Really, dude, this shit sucks. They're trolling us again. Top speed is 162. Ugh. Still drives like shit. You could die. Easy. Says it goes 0 to 60 in less than a half a second. Or more than a little more than a half a second. Oh, really, lady? Seriously. Should pop your tire.
Jail. 2 months he couldn't make bail. Here we sit, whiskey bit, freestyling over cricket chirps. He would spit, then I went, loaded gun, death we flirt. Leave it up to the Baptist church. Me and him are scum of the earth. Feeling like 2 millionaires with $100 net worth. In the oven, what happened to me and you? Go to Sunday school, then we work Monday to Friday, and sometimes
What's
Sunday
up?
too.
What can I do?
And that's no disrespect, but I'm a talent, goddammit. You watch, I'm telling you. We had it all mapped out. Hip hop till we crashed out. I drank till I couldn't walk straight. On the front porch where we passed out. Nothing but trouble, really the troubles of our sorrow. And the clouds follow. We was just like lightning in a bottle, burning electrical, just like gunshots in the hollow, echoing all night through.
That looks bad.
This is how we shared our problems, under the southern moon, just like lightning in a bottle, burning electrical. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, I got 2 packs of Parliament lights and a dime bag and a band with brick out. Just laying the night on the bed of my buddy's truck who got it from his papa back when he died in a fire rescue. And I never asked what happened. We visited Charlie
We're done.
Daniels,
Good.
Bob Seger, sing along to Night Moves, sipping on gas station margaritas. Gotta get a good buzz out of him, man. Nothing else to do but get high. Put bullet holes in big hands. Talk about how we wanna get by. Some say the dream is useless, full of pride and selfishness. Escaping that mental prison's like climbing the electric fence, and that's a risk. But the risk I'll take to better it. Crystal
Yo, my favorite thing growing up was like the Chili's commercial. I want my baby back.
Yeah.
About to leave the label? That's what that means. About to cut them ties. You better cut them ties. Come to church on Sunday with Kanye. You know he's getting an invite. Joe Rogan got one. Fucking guy. Yes, it does. You are, dog. Hey, motherfucker.
You need something, huh? One of your rides? Let me know.
That's gotta be the illest shit anybody said. Motherfucker. I don't understand that part though. Okay, motherfucker.
It's on the way.
I hate it here. I wish I was back in Charlotte.
Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? What did he say? In my chair.
Come check out the new vehicle on the podium. You can win it with just a spin on the lucky wheel.
I don't think.
The diamond.
All right.
They're hunting the Jedi. But I'm done hiding. You was just a baby girl looking for a new job. I was a tycoon, a cartoon.
Alright, they're saying there's a bunch of new shit in the map right now because it's Halloween, and there's some at Mount Chiliad. We gotta go see what it is. It's a surprise. I guess there's fucking cougars running around. We're gonna check it out. Got any old wrapper Butterfingers? Not the shiny wrappers? Not those kind? It's a classic. Only this dude can do it too. Let me get a light. That was my lighter. I think. I don't know, it's not in my pocket. Weird. another good year with the kids being able to go out. And this year they were together after her not being around. That was good. So the family's back together. Right? Would have been better if her boyfriend showed up. No, you didn't. You did a good job of Carrie. Coming up with that simple, easy. Yeah, that's crazy. It shouldn't have cost that much. That kit was cheap. It should have cost $3. So what? I thought you said you spent $40 on it. Oh. Right. We gotta get you like that, babe. What? She's got a fatty. I said she's got a fatty. She does got a fatty, just like you got a fatty. 2 fatties. Double fatty time. Like a loaded gun. Gotta say, this album is pretty sick so far. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, a 15. And that's a lot to say for anybody.
shine life up in this bitch. Now you gotta pick me off a party like a rock star. You seen that hoe anywhere I put in work. Best believe me, homie, I am not a rapper. I thought I'm something else. So I'ma turn it up a notch, 'cause I don't need these niggas help. Fuck y'all, not you. I mean all of y'all. Me and Skin with this rapping shit. Check my stats on how I ball. My elevator going up. I'm never slowing up, 'cause they gon' need a little more than lean. 'Cause I'm never giving up. I focus like I'm on some Adderall. I got no every one no breaks. And I'm running out of patience. I don't know where I'm going. I just know that I've been. Yeah. I just keep on rolling. Wherever the wind is blowing.
See you later.
Blowing. Yeah. Look at all the blood on my hands. Look at all these hands
Here.
on my plate. Niggas that say that they real. They be the first ones that hate. Look at all this shit in my life. Did a lot of dirt to get strikes, but at the end of that night, still need more to sacrifice. I'm the soul of Orlando. Cortez Steelers, my family. We still going commando. Any business get
Going commando.
Picture is painted. Ain't no way we can swerve. Get out what we put in. Everything we deserve. Feeling good.
Babe always goes commando, don't she?
Must be in my DNA. The way I
Know what that means?
It's full every day. Clips full every day. For whoever wanna play. Boy, bustin' out the game. I don't know where I'm going. I just know where I've been. I've been. Yeah. I just keep on rolling. Wherever the wind is blowing. Blowing. Yeah. Kinda like a Friday, I feel. Kinda like a highway, I feel. Yeah. Hard white like a coke deal. Rolling with a spoke on the front wheel. Harley in the wind, I'm tuned in. Leather grips underneath my rings, my teeth gleam. Permanent pirate, swamp to the dirt. Crown me king, imperial poet. Lace my bud with LSD. Picture me floating at 16. Play with the Ouija board to the devil. Lost his focus. Mental wars built me up. Veteran soldier, pistol toting. Sharp as a sickle, dripping broken. Wish you would. I ain't hoping. Like a creek to an ocean. Eventually connects. I found my way into that wave and wrote it with respect. Now some of these country boys are rapping, but have no intellect. No introspective on the genre. Just out there for that check. But fuck the world, I'm no lie detector. And if your conscience does not affect you, then slide your pride aside, find investors to monetize the lies you perfected. As a slippery slope to no end. But hey, that's the way it goes then. After the show, they close in. When you're burning the wicked, vote in. I don't know where I'm going.
Or what I'm smoking.
I just know where I've been. I've been. Yeah. I just keep on rolling. Wherever the wind is blowing. Blowing. Yeah.
That's a good one. Another good one. And another one. And another one. I'm country rich. Huh. Yeller. The muffler runting. Country rich. Someone knocking?
So, you're looking for stuff.
Someone at the door? Huh. Sounded like this. Weird. You ain't got no one coming here, right?
This sucks.
Oh shit, baby.